Welcome. Yeah, I think that's my first webinar I'm doing. Usually we do it as a Zoom meeting, so I'm used to seeing faces. So now it's weird, but I'm speaking to the screen. But I hope everyone is enjoying their evening. It's a bit a nice day in Vancouver today. I'm gonna start. Welcome again. Rainbow Refugee respects and expresses solidarity with Indigenous rights to sovereignty, land, and livelihood as an organization working in Canada with people who have been forcibly displaced. We recognize our responsibilities to address ongoing colonial injustice against First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. We respect and thank Indigenous people for their care and stewardship of the land, air, and water we all rely on. The connection between our work and Indigenous sovereignty are complex. We are in the complicated position of creating safe refuge on land that is stolen. We are committed to a long-term process of self-education, of listening and learning from Indigenous perspectives, and of building respectful relationships with Two-Spirit and Indigenous organizations as we move towards decolonizing our practices. And with that, I would like to acknowledge that Rainbow Refugee works on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations peoples. My name is Adam Kusa. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the national coordinator at Rainbow Refugee Society since 2018, and I'm a proud gay refugee from Lebanon. I'm a settler on this land since 2016. I'm a foodie and a world traveler, among other things. I'm so happy to be sharing my knowledge with you tonight. So the objective of this session is to be familiar with what Rainbow Refugee does, our programs, and more importantly, to get information about the process of sponsoring an LGBTQI plus refugee from overseas. But this is not a session where we are discussing all volunteering opportunities at Rainbow Refugee. We'll be scheduling another session in the future for other available opportunities. I also understand that you might be familiar with some of the information shared today, but others might be hearing this for the first time. So I appreciate your patience while we make sure everyone is on the same page of understanding. I would also like to ask you to keep your questions till the end of the presentation. We have enough time to have a Q&A at the end. No language can adequately reflect the many beautiful and ever-evolving ways that humans live and names their sexualities, genders, sex characteristics, and relationships. The language to name diversity of sexual orientations, gender identity, expressions, and sex characteristics, SOGIES, is never perfect, but to work together, we need some common terms. When we speak about people arriving as refugees or newcomers, we use LGBTQI plus refugees, which stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual. Again, imperfect, but understandable. Working and advocating in solidarity with in Canada and inbound LGBTQI plus refugees and claimants, Rainbow Refugee supports people fleeing SOGIES persecution to build communities of belonging in Canada. We do this through our main programs. We have 5 programs. The first one is the Inland. We provide support, information, and system navigation to refugees and refugee claimants seeking refugee status in Canada due to SOGIES persecution. We also have the private sponsorship program. We manage the Rainbow RAP, Rainbow Refugee Assisted Partnership. It's a federal program facilitating the resettlement into Canada of rainbow refugees from around the world. We work with Circle of Hope, which is a group of volunteers from the community to provide 1-year financial and settlement support to those arriving in our private sponsorship program. Our third program is community engagement and belonging. Through this program, we offer workshops, drop-ins, social gatherings, celebrations, events to all queer refugees and refugee claimants who are in Canada to support them in deepening their community connections, strengthening their relationships, and expanding their chosen family and support systems. And our fourth program is Time to Thrive. We understand the need for wraparound psychosocial support to allow newcomers to continue with their life plans and thrive. Our Time to Thrive program offers financial resources, mental health support, housing navigation support, relevant information on social system navigations, resources, and referrals. And our last program is Advocacy and Education. Across Canada, we participate in many coalitions, organizations, councils, and partnerships. We currently hold the presidency of the Canadian Council for Refugees. We co-chair the Rainbow Coalition for Refuge. Our advocacy work enables systemic and policy changes with an intersectional focus that centers anti-racism, anti-colonial, and anti-oppressive frameworks. We also spearhead many educational initiatives in our communities, providing training and workshops for settlement organizations who are seeking to be LGBTQI+ competent, along with LGBTQI+ organizations that want to deepen their understanding of how to support mostly racialized people with forced displacement experience. So that was a summary of our programs. Let's make sure we know what a refugee is. Refugee are people who have fled war, violence, conflict, or persecution, and have crossed an international border to find safety in another country. They often had to flee with little more than clothes on their back, leaving behind homes, possessions, jobs, and loved ones. Refugees are defined and protected in international law. The 1951 Refugee Convention is a key legal document and defines a refugee as someone who's unable or unwilling to return to their country of origin owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion. In 2019, the number of refugees under the United Nations High Commissions for Refugee mandate rose to 20.7 million refugees. The protection of refugees has many aspects. These include safety from being returned to danger, access to fair and efficient asylum procedures, and measures to ensure that their basic human rights are respected while they secure a long-term solution. Hence, the need for an LGBTQI+ specific pathway to safety. As you know, maybe LGBTQI people are subject to serious discrimination, violence, risk to their life, and human rights abuses because of their real or perceived sogiasc. Nearly 70 countries criminalize consensual same-sex sexual acts. 6 states impose the death penalty, and 5 additional states have the legal possibility of imposing the death penalty. Even in countries with no criminalization, the stability of the dominant social, cultural, and religious values may be regarded as threatened by non-normative bodies and identities. In 14 countries, trans and gender non-conforming people face legal discrimination in these countries. LGBTQI+ people face extreme violence and persecution solely based on who they are or who they love. Discrimination can be compounded and multidimensional, related to additional factors such as race, ethnicity, age, socioeconomic condition, class, disability status, and many other things. Many people cease their participation in public spaces which is deepening their isolation, marginalization, and economic precarity. And that's why we came up with the Rainbow RAP. The Rainbow Refugee Assisted Partnership was created to address the distinct risks and settlement challenges faced by refugees who have fled persecution related to SOGIASC by encouraging LGBTQI+ civil society to engage in refugee sponsorship. The goal of this program is to create safer pathways to refugee protection for Rainbow refugees, to encourage participation by local Rainbow communities and civil societies in refugee sponsorship, and to promote a resettlement pathway that is responsive to these distinct settlement challenges of LGBTQI refugees. The Rainbow RAP is a cost-sharing agreement with Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada, and it's stewarded by Rainbow Refugee since 2011. It's a national project. Rainbow Refugee has the responsibility of working with its own circles of hope, as well as other community organizations across Canada, to sponsor LGBTQI+ asylum seekers. The Rainbow RAP is part of the private sponsorship stream, as we said, and private sponsorship generally is a 12-month commitment once the newcomer arrives in Canada. To summarize the main characteristics of the program, we have 50 cost-sharing spots per year between 2020 and 2024, but we have unlimited number of spots that we can sponsor. So we only have 50 cost-sharing spots, but we have unlimited number of people that we can sponsor. IRCC contribution is equivalent to 3 months of income support and startup support. In total, approximately $6,000 for the first 3 months. That's what IRCC give for 50 people per year. Sponsorship groups are responsible for raising the additional funds to the equivalent of 12 months of living income. We're going to talk financial in a bit and more details. And the last one is, of course, the creation of communities of belonging for SOGIASC newcomers, migrants, and refugees, particularly as it relates to care, advocacy, systemic change, and relationship building. Can be life-saving, empowering, and make the difference between surviving and thriving. Who's eligible to be sponsored through the program? So the person needs to be outside of their country of origin. So, for example, if the person is in Afghanistan and they are facing persecution in Afghanistan, if they reach out to us, we can't really support them with this program. Under this program, they need to be outside of their country of origin. So, for example, they need to flee Afghanistan and go seek asylum, for example, in Pakistan. And then once they are in Pakistan, then we can sponsor them through their program. Of course, Pakistan is not as like, maybe it's as bad as what Afghanistan is in terms of SOGIASC persecution. So the situation is not durable for that, it's temporary. So the next criteria is to be, of course, LGBTQI+, identify as LGBTQI+. The third one is that there is a well-funded fear of persecution or cumulative discrimination that amounts to persecution. If the person can't move to a different part of the country and live a life free from persecution. And then the last part, as I said, there's no other durable solutions for them. And who can be a sponsor? So, and again, those terms are by Immigration, Refugees Canada, not by Rainbow Refugee. So the language is, as I said, from the government of Canada. So they need to be 18 years of age or older. They need to be either Canadian citizen, a registered Indian or permanent resident. Sponsors must reside in the same community of resettlement. For example, if the sponsors are in Vancouver, the newcomer needs to be settled in Vancouver. If the sponsors are in Burnaby, let's say, the newcomer must be settling in Burnaby. If there is a mix, then where the majority of people are. So there is a mix of sponsors because it's Lower Mainland. We have some people live in Vancouver, some in Burnaby, some in Surrey. So where the majority of the sponsors are, our objective is to make sure that the person is not feeling isolated. That's the whole purpose from this criteria. No conviction inside and outside of Canada, not in default of any court-ordered support payment obligations, not ordered to leave Canada, and not subject of relocation proceedings under the Citizenship Act. So those are the eligibility criteria for sponsors. How do we sponsor? Rainbow Refugee is non-discriminatory in whom it selects to sponsor. We're welcoming gays, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, queer, gender non-binary, and HIV positive people from all countries, ethnic backgrounds, and religions. Every day we receive numerous emails from Rainbow people worldwide asking for support. We appreciate that people trust us enough to reach out to us, and sometimes all that we can do is from distance is to provide information. Our triage volunteer teams read the emails, enter the data, and provide information to those asking for help. We are able to support some, and we're collecting the data allow us to tell their stories to those who can do more. Who can be sponsors? Sponsors can be individuals interested in joining a sponsorship group. So they reach out to us, say, I'm interested in volunteering with you. Maybe I'm interested in sponsorship, or groups of 6 to 8 people in the Lower Mainland interested in to be matched with a refugee. So they can tell us, hey, we are a group of people, we are interested in supporting a case, match us with a refugee. Or a group of 6 to 8 people in the Lower Mainland interested in sponsoring someone they know. For example, it can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can be someone reached out to them from Facebook, they built a connection and they are interested in supporting them. So it's someone they know. And also we have experienced sponsors who are connected to the religious institutions and interested in sponsoring LGBTQI+ refugees. So all those can be sponsors and can reach out to us, and we support them. If someone from outside of the Lower Mainland, then in this case, then we connect them with local organizations in their cities, or we try. We're not there yet. We're not everywhere. So let's mix it up. We found that creating intentionally diverse groups with mix of ages, genders, LGBTQ2+ identities and allies, racial and ethnocultural backgrounds, language and skill sets works best. It's nice to have people with daytime availability or flexible schedules. It's nice to have people with good fundraising and know-how and contacts. Also nice to have people who arrived as newcomers, of course, who are feeling established enough to support other people, and people with social work, mental health, or social service backgrounds will be great additional to a strong sponsorship group. Let's talk about the responsibility of sponsors. Refugee sponsorship entails a number of moral, financial, and legal responsibilities in relationship to the refugee sponsored, of course, ARCC and other parties. Broadly speaking, the responsibilities of a sponsorship group can be categorized in 2 areas. Responsibility that should be carried out before the arrival of the refugee, and the responsibility that should be implemented after the arrival of refugee. So we're going to talk now about the responsibilities before arrival. First one is to raise the required fund, submitting fully and correctly completed refugee sponsorship applications, maintaining contact with refugee applicants, ensuring refugees are aware of their interview and appear for the interview and also we're preparing them for their interview, and also working jointly with refugee applicants to avoid any delays or complication in the sponsorship process. We meet with the refugee upon arrival at the airport and welcome them in the community, provide orientation to the new neighborhood and life in Canada. So those are mainly the responsibilities before arrival. Sorry. The sponsorship group has set of responsibilities related to meeting the basic settlement needs of sponsored refugees upon their arrival in Canada. These duties are like lodging, provide suitable accommodation, basic furniture and other household essentials, care by providing food, clothing, local transportation costs, and other basic necessities of life, settlement assistance and support. We assist in the completion of the required forms, including health insurance, social insurance, opening a bank account, facilitating access to English or French language classes, understand the rights and responsibilities of permanent residents, facilitating access to employment, facilitating access to community support groups, settlement services, and other resources in the community, and locating and assisting in accessing a family physician, dentist, mental health support if needed, and supporting empowerment and independence. And the most important thing is to monitor and troubleshoot as we're supporting someone, as every sponsorship is unique with its own successes and challenges. Let's talk about the responsibility of Rainbow Refugee. So provide the required information and support to the sponsorship group as needed. We sign the required application forms to demonstrate that applicants are eligible for the blended program. We advocate with the sponsorship agreement holder and IRCC as necessary. We troubleshoot and solve problems with the sponsorship group, and we act as a third party, if necessary, between the sponsored and the sponsored individual. So those are our responsibilities in summary. Of course, there'll be a mentor from Rainbow Refugee with the sponsorship group, so you're not on your own. There'll be someone who's experienced sponsor who will be supporting the new group, guiding them. Okay, that's the next step. That's what we're going to do now. And they will be trying to resolve conflicts, if any, and make sure that everyone is abiding to the code of ethics that we're going to talk about in a bit. But before we reach that, let's talk about finances. Adequate fund must be raised to support the newcomer for 12 months. An application can only be submitted once 75% of the funds needed are in Rainbow Refugee's account. We suggest for a single person living in Vancouver between 19,000 and 25,000, for a couple between 27,000 and 33,000. Again, those are suggested. There are three ways that someone can make a donation to Rainbow Refugee: via our website, via check, and via cash. Tax receipts are issued for donations of $25 and up. And each group is free to develop its own fundraising strategy. Some want to prepare letters, some use phone calls to acquaintances, friends, and family members, fundraising events like drag shows, dinners, sports events, wine tasting, that's my favorite, golf tournaments, art galleries, yoga, and karaoke. The community is very creative in this field. We usually don't have any problems reaching our fundraising goals. So again, once 75% of the funds needed are in Rainbow Refugee's account, then in this case, we can submit the application of sponsorship. Rainbow Refugee will be depositing monthly payments in the newcomer's bank account once they arrive based on the amount fundraised. Let's talk about power imbalance. The relationship between the private sponsors and privately sponsored refugees is unique. Multiple power imbalances exist at the core of this relationship. The sponsorship code of ethics is a tool for sponsors to explore how power imbalance impacts this relationship between the sponsor and the newcomer. It examines potential ethical considerations that require attention and commit to certain principles during the sponsorship. So let's summarize everything in terms of steps of sponsorship. So we form the group, 5 to 8 people with different set of skills and availability. Then we discuss the code of ethic. The sponsorship coordinator will be having a session where she'll be giving them she'll be giving the group scenarios of some situations happened in the past, and then the sponsors will be brainstorming on how to deal with those issues. And then we see how the code of ethics will help us navigate and deal with those issues in an ethical way. Once we have the code of ethics signed, then it's an officially, we have a strong group to sponsor someone to safety. We work on team building if the group doesn't know each other before. We match with the refugee. Again, some people know the person that they're going to sponsor before they start the group. But if the sponsors do not have a pre-assigned refugee, in that case, they will agree together as a set of criteria they feel they are strong enough to support. For example, if the group is mainly formed by gay men, then probably it makes more sense to support a gay man. If the team feels that they are strong fundraisers and they are able they have flexible availability during daytime, then maybe they can sponsor the lesbian mom with her 2 kids or 3 kids. So they agree together as a group on who they feel they are strong enough to support. They give us those criteria, and based on that, we provide them with few profile. Again, the triage team is entering the data. There's a process to prioritize on who needs to be sponsored first, and we take the criteria from the sponsorship group and we support people accordingly. You can always let us choose if you would like, but we prefer that the group together makes this decision. After they match with a refugee, then they start the fundraising. We talked about fundraising in a bit, and we like the people who are interested in sponsoring, that will be talking more about fundraising, give tips, what worked in the past, all of that. Then we're gonna work on the application and communicate with the newcomer. Once we have 75%, as I said, the bank account, then in this case, we can submit the application. The overseas processing time of refugee sponsorship application varies in different Canadian visa offices abroad. Before COVID, usually it was between 1 year to 2 years in most countries. Now it's between 2 years to 4 years. So it depends on the country. So after that, once the sponsorship is approved, then we're gonna prepare the newcomer for their interview, and then we provide emotional support during wait time. We start preparing for arrival once we have an arrival date and the settlement plan and the budget. What else? Of course, we execute the plan and we support the newcomer. We monitor and troubleshoot issues. We prepare a transition plan to month number 12, and at the end we do the exit interview. Sponsorship creates a pathway to safer, more accepting communities of LGBTQI+ refugees. There are currently 20 circles of hope active in BC alone. The more volunteers we have, the more circles of hope we can form to support more people to safety here in Canada. I invite you to get involved. I will drop the sign-up sheet in the chat, and you'll be receiving it in your email tomorrow as well. It's a direct way to support someone. It's a life-changing experience from being the closet, to walking with us with pride. Well, if you don't want to be involved in sponsorship in particular, you can still donate. You can send us an email to volunteer@rainbow-refugee.ca to express your interest in volunteering, and also you can talk to your friends. However long we've been doing this work, we're still surprised at how many Canadians don't know about LGBTQI plus persecution around the world. So sharing those stories and experiences with your friends is a great first step. Our website is rainbow-refugee.com for more information about our programs and what we do, and also to donate. And I'm happy to take your questions now. I will open the Q&A chat, the Q&A. Okay, so to ask questions, you have to write your question in the Q&A field. Do you see it in front of you? So the first question is, so individuals cannot sponsor, it's always done in a circle. So one individual by themselves, no, they can't sponsor, they need to form a group of support. So the person himself, like the individual, or several individuals can come together and form a group. They divide tasks among each other, and they have different availabilities so they can support someone properly. The second question is, do you need to be citizen, have PR to be involved in one of the circles of hope, sponsorship circles? What's the difference between a member of Circle of Hope between being versus being a volunteer? So yeah, to be involved in a sponsorship group, you need to be permanent resident or citizen. Those are mandated by IRCC, which is Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, not by us. So you must be a permanent resident or Canadian citizen or a registered Indian to be involved in Circles of Hope. And the volunteers can be everyone who are interested in volunteering with us and our other programs, usually some administrative work, some interpretation, some events management, and again, it's like ad hoc. For example, if we have a booth and want volunteers to be able to attend with us, to those kind of stuff. But those are open to students and everyone who are interested in being part of Rainbow Refugee as a volunteer. How does a group settle on which refugee to sponsor? Are they provided with a list of candidates? So yeah, we have two ways of doing that. Some people know someone already, and then the second way is that they get together, they discuss how many people they want to sponsor first. Is it a single person, a couple, a family? And also they will specify the sexual orientation and the gender identity, and if they are strong enough to support people with special needs or medical needs. So they discuss together. Of course, all our decisions in Rainbow Refugee are by consensus, so everyone must live with this decision so it moves forward, and they let Rainbow Refugee know that, for example, hey, the group is interested in supporting a lesbian woman, and so the sponsorship coordinator will send a few profiles, of course, with respecting the identities of those people, and they will then they come together, and then it's a hard choice to be honest to make. Some people prefer to let Rainbow Refugee make this choice for them, but then they make this decision together as a group. I hope this answers your question. I have a question. I have another one. We have a group of 12 people interested in a sponsorship, but your presentation specifies 6 to 8 people. Would more people be okay, or is too many? So 12 people is on the limit, actually, is on the big limit, because we feel that more people create sometimes more conflicts, and some people feel like, okay, they're not contributing enough because the tasks are not so many. But if, for example, if 12 people are strong enough to support, for example, not one person, maybe a family, then that will be a good option, actually, if you want to do that. Um, uh, but yeah, like there is no wrong or right. There is just like recommendations, really. But of course, there is no less than 5. How does a refugee get into consideration for Rainbow Refugee? Just yeah. So the triage team will have a set of questions to ask. We do not screen in details. So that's IRCC's responsibility, to be honest, to go more in details about the screening and make sure that the person is who they are, because of course the refugee will be telling their story once they are chosen. They will, in the application of sponsorship, will be mentioning their story in the past 10 years. So we can't know a lot, but we do ask a few questions to assess how dangerous the situation is. Yeah. How long is a typical fundraising period? I think I can convince my workplace to participate in future quarter, but they may be competition. So, well, the fundraising period, I think most people do it between 2 to 4 months. Depends on how their connection is. We have one group that did it in 2 weeks. It was really impressive, actually, but we do not expect that from all sponsors to be able to do that. So 2 to 4 months is like average amount of fundraising period that people do. That may be competition. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading the chat now. How do you match individuals volunteers with the sponsorship group? I think I answered this question a few minutes ago. Do we have groups in Langley? Currently, I'm not sure if there are any individuals in Langley in particular, but if you're interested, please apply. And then we can still connect, see if any other people from Langley who are interested to be part of that, and then we can connect you together. Sorry, thanks for your interest in sponsoring. Oh, I didn't send the actual application, the actual sign-up sheet. You reminded me. Oh, I'm still sharing my screen. Sorry, now you can see me. So I will send in the chat the actual presentation with the sign-up sheet and all the beautiful stuff. So you can, for your reference, if you forget something, you can always go back to, or if you want to send this to your friends and see if they might be interested, that'll be great. And so yeah, in the sign-up sheet, you can tell us if you are by yourself, or if you have a group, or if you want to just maybe talk to a few people, maybe partner or friends, even if 2 or 3 people who might be interested, then also we can connect you with other people as well. And we can create a strong group to support someone. We have a new question. You talked about 50 spots cost sharing and unlimited spots for non-cost sharing. Would you explain? Yeah, I can explain that more. So we said that the government provides financial assistance for 3 months. So for those financial assistance are reserved only for 50 spots per year. So 50 people. That doesn't mean that we can only sponsor 50 people per year. We can sponsor unlimited number of people, but only 50 people have support from the government of Canada. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Any other questions? So the Padlet link is is in the chat. Please check it out. You will receive it tomorrow in your email as well. There is inside it, there is a sign-up sheet. You can put on your name and some information about yourself. Any other questions? Yes, Faris. Thank you. I'll give a few seconds just in case if anyone is writing. Are you able to see the questions, by the way, or not? Oh, no, okay. Okay. Well, you only see your own question. Okay, interesting. Oh, there's something called Answer Live here. Let me check if I post this, will you be able to see the question? Are you able to see the question now, for example, from Danielle a few minutes ago? Oh, still no. Okay, well, our time together has come to an end. I hope this has been informative and motivating. So yeah, I hope this has been informative and motivated you to take on the sponsorship role. I'm available for one-on-one. If you have specific concerns, please reach out. I would like to thank you for spending the evening with me and for your interest in volunteering your time. Have a good rest of your night. Take care. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.